point in the broadcast, suddenly, for some reason, we got a crossfeed with one of Judy's videos. We don't know what created it. We pulled every plug we could think of within the broadcast system that we had to get rid of this extra feed that was producing the music. And again, couldn't do it. So, you know, you look at this, and to be on a 24-hour broadcast and to have to close that broadcast down right in the middle was scary, because we built all this momentum and our numbers watching were growing and growing and growing, and suddenly this happens. Well, I want to tell you something, and you can see by the smile on my face, I was so proud to be part of that group. You know, it was really funny because everybody did what they needed to be doing. They didn't have to be told. They knew what the job was, because instinctively they know their market that they're dealing with. In other words, you know, Stacy and Sean knew the market they were dealing with and how to get to them. We had Alejandro doing his magic as well. We had Judy, bless her heart, just doing whatever we asked her to do without any warning, just, you know, get on, you know, start talking now. It's amazing. Nobody screamed at one another. When it was all over and everything was back up and running to a certain degree, I went back to the boys in the back. I waited until everything had calmed down. And just very quietly hugged each of them and thanked them for being there. And thanked them for going through this amount of extra stress on a weekend to help us feed hungry children. Because there's no amount of money that you can thank people with for doing that sort of thing. And these people gave up their time for free, gave up their weekend, gave up everything for the week to help us do this. Jesse came all the way from Oregon. Amazing. So the other thing that you need to know is that you have different people capable of different things. There are what we call the background people and the foreground people. The background people, other than the boys in the back, would also include Val and Mel, who helped so much with looking after the children or running and getting food if we needed it, or, you know, just doing all the background stuff that you didn't see. Very, very important. When we got into the last hour, it had been our plan, and it was our plan, to have the children with us for the last hour. When we realized we would have to seriously hustle to raise that extra money, strategy-wise, we knew that if we were hustling that much, we would not be able to give enough time to the children. And that was unacceptable to us. When I say we wouldn't be able to give enough time, but you understand when you're fighting to raise that sort of money, you know, you may accidentally turn too quickly and trip over one of the children, or, you know, there's so many different things that could have gone wrong with that. So we made the decision to take the children out of the picture for the last hour so that we could hustle. And then we just brought them back for the last part of the celebration so that they were safe. So again, in any good team of people, you need background people and foreground people. And funny enough, when I first met Benji and was spending time teaching him about leadership, one of the most important things that you have to make sure is you've got the right personalities slotted into the right places. And you also need to be really clear as to who is the leader and trust the leader. And that doesn't mean you can't make suggestions, that doesn't mean anything. It's rather like the captain of the ship. The final call comes from the captain. And I've got to give Benji 10 out of 10 because when the brown sticky stuff hit the fan on a number of occasions, just thinking about it makes me smile. He literally gave a clear instruction as to what was needed. Great body language. Great body language. By the way, body language is so important at times like that. You know, he literally went, pointed at Judy, which I know he never does. Literally sort of, you know, his arm extended by about 3 feet. And went, Judy, periscope now. And she just sort of went, what? Right. It was amazing. And then he just looked at us, you know, because the three of us were all sitting together and we just put our hands up. We didn't even bother. You know, we literally like acknowledged what we heard. He didn't have to tell us what to do. And I'm sorry, I get quite emotional because just before I left the house this morning, they were thanking me for what I taught them in their way. And you know, when you see this go down and you realize they are so grateful for the lessons that they learned along the way. And you know, it was funny because I got very insecure. I know that sounds strange. I got very insecure about a month ago. And genuinely wondered whether I was of value to the team this year. In as much as I've taught them everything that they need to know, and therefore was my value diminished because of that. And it was so funny because I realize now as I'm driving back, what if I'd never said, what if we had a power cut? You see, because I asked that question, we had Facebook, Twitter, and everything else covered. In you know, although we hadn't had that come up for the same reason, I actually thought of a worse reason. And so we didn't have it happen once, we had it happen twice, right? Once a fuse blew, and then something else went wrong, and then we ended up with the delayed transmission, where we weren't syncing the words with the picture. And I can assure you they worked their hearts out to try and fix that for so many hours. So here's what I really wanted to talk to you about. Because the fact we had all this go down for such a large portion of the broadcast, and we still made it. We still made it to 200,000 plus. That is what's mind-blowing. because each time we hit a problem, we were bound to lose viewers. And then we'd have to build up the viewership again, and then we'd hit another problem, and then we'd build up the viewership again. And I want to tell you, it was like a roller coaster that you cannot believe. And this incredible group of people just did such a wonderful job. I am so lucky, honored, grateful, blessed. To be part of it. Then, you know, before I left the house today, I took Judy's face in my hands and held it and looked her straight in the eyes and thanked her for being who she is. And not to forget that if she were not who she is, we would not have had the audience that helped raise that much money. And that I always think of Judy as one of the best front guys that isn't a front guy at all. She's a background person. And so humble and so caring and so wonderful in her values and her direction. And allows this team of people to basically create an event around her and trusts us to do it, and trusts us to do it with integrity. It is amazing. And then, of course, Benji, who is so incredibly passionate, not only about Judy and the children, and probably more so than I could ever have hoped for in my lifetime. I don't think I've really met many husbands that genuinely dote on their wives and their children to the degree that he does. But that he is such a generous person. I've met enough YouTubers who've made a lot of money, and most of them have let the money take over their values and their priorities and all sorts of things. But you know, I've never seen that happen with Benji and Judy. They never forgot who their friends were, and they've never forgotten the people who will be with them, whether they're rich, poor, or indifferent. And so I have to say that every single member of the team brings their own brilliance to it, brings their own character to it. You know, you've got multifaceted people like Sean and Stacy, and you know, who not only can do their job, but they dance well and they do other things well. And you have people like Gramps, who is just so great just to interview, and yet so caring, and always brings flowers and brings cookies, and you know, just really such a thoughtful person all around. And you look at that and you go, everybody plays their part. And the biggest thing of all, which quite honestly outshines, and it's one of the things I've always said and always believed, you can bring me people with incredible talent, but I'd rather work with a group of people with incredible hearts. And I'm pretty sure that those of you who watched the whole 24 hours, I doubt it's possible to watch that 24 hours and not see the genuine love that that team of incredibly hard-working people has for each other, regardless of age, regardless of skills. Because you see, we all love what the other person brings to the table. And quite honestly, you can't buy that either. You can't buy that level of respect. I mean, there are times when I listen to Stacey and Sean and I roll my eyes because they have just told me something and I go, I have no idea what you just told me. And bless his heart, Sean will go, yeah, Sal, but you know, you can do that on Twitter. You just need to, you know, do this, 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 and this. And bless his heart. He genuinely believes that I'll get him. For that, I gotta love him. But I do know that before I get back for next year, I will have mastered the skill that he tried to teach me in a heartbeat. But you know, he's better at it than I am. So I'm gonna let him do it. And I'm not gonna be jealous or resentful or anything else. Do you understand? That's because I have my job. Part of me really wants to be able to do what he did. And so each of us brings that little bit of joy and that massive amount of heart. And you put all those little hearts together, the big hearts rather, and all that, and that much belief. How many viewers would have been happy to get to 176 with an hour to go and say, there's no way we can raise the rest in an hour, so let's just enjoy the ride for the last hour. We've worked our hearts out, why not just coast in? And you had to be there to see it go down, but we quickly put on the this is the incredible thing, we quickly put on the Convoy of Hope video, because that would give us 3 minutes to have a strategy meeting. I'm serious. Each time we played the Convoy of Hope video, which is about 3 minutes long, we all would gather around that dining room table where I was sitting for a strategy meeting. This is what we're going to do for the next hour, or the next, you know, whatever time span we had. Amazing. And I want to tell you, in that last time we played that thing, and Benji stood there and said, does anybody not believe that we can do it? And we all just looked at him and said, no. And he just said, let's all do what we know how to do, but let's hustle it. And I don't know who the viewers were that helped me, and I want to thank you because I didn't recognize the names. But there were a couple of viewers, and one of them was Angel something. Angie something. And I'm not sure who she was, but she really helped me during the broadcasts. She helped me for almost, I think she helped me the full 24 hours, quite honestly, but I could be wrong. And the way she helped me was that she realized, I think at one point I had said, can anybody just quickly put up the link for me? Because I realized I was busy trying to talk to people, but I also needed to keep putting up the link. And so I asked if anybody could put it up for me, and this Angie person did. And I thanked her. But here's the funny thing. Angie got really smart. And I'm just hoping that Angie will hear me, and I will probably put it on a couple of vlogs in the coming week in case she happens to see one of them. Because Angie, you have no idea how much I appreciated that help you gave me. I was talking about it this morning at the house and saying this incredible person let me delegate part of what I needed to do, and she just kept putting up the link for me every 15 minutes or so. And all I had to do, I didn't even have to thank her. I know that. I knew that she knew I was thanking her in my head. But I had to keep thanking her because every time it was like, oh, you're so awesome. Thank you so much. And then groups of people were just getting on the bandwagon and going, donate. This is where, donate. Let's help them do it here. And I just really want to thank you all. And for all of you who thanked me for staying the full 24 hours and talking to you on the live feed, I don't have the words to thank you. Because if you hadn't kept me entertained, if you hadn't kept me laughing, if you hadn't kept me waving and making Grampy wave and running messages for you to people and so forth, I might not have made it through the full 24 hours. So thank you. I truly, truly appreciate it. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for helping me help them into the best Dancember we've ever done. Unfortunately, I hate to end on a what I call a sad note, but it's quite funny really, because you know as well as I do what ran through our minds was, if we managed to do this with all the problems we had, how much can we do next year? And that's we all know that's what's going through our heads. If we managed to do that much with all the technical issues we had, the problems we had, we blew the internet connections, we had we had separate internet hubs going, and even then we blew them. We so overloaded everything, it was just mind-blowing. And we're all sitting there going, yeah, but what if it had all worked? How much more would we have been able to raise? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what a team of dedicated people will naturally do. It was so funny because we did the same this morning as we do every year. What went wrong? Not much. We got the goal. You see, and that's the whole thing. When you reach the goal, what went wrong? Not that much, considering, because we hit the goal. But we hit the goal not because things didn't go wrong. The only reason we hit that goal is because we all wanted it that badly. I must admit we got close to begging at one point, but we all wanted it that badly. You see, if you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true? This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for helping us make the dream come true. Bye-bye for now.